Thank you, Rabbi Bookdahl and Rabbi Lyon, for your words. They are so honoring and so touching and so flattering. I feel like I can barely accept it and take it all in. And thank you, Shani, for this beautiful gift on behalf of our new community. So there are a lot of talented clergy on the Bima tonight, and they've already made really great connections to the Torah portion. And I could stand here and talk about walls of water and walking on dry land and, chariots being overthrown, but I thought tonight I'm going to talk about chocolate chip cookies. Okay? Because there's a myth about the chocolate chip cookie that its invention was actually a mistake. Can you believe that? Chocolate chip cookies, a mistake? But the story does go like this. There was a baker. Her name was Ruth Graves Wakefield, and she owned an inn in Massachusetts, and she was famous for her butter drop dough cookies. That sounds good. But one day, Ruth realized too late that she had run out of an essential ingredient, baker's chocolate. What to do? Quickly, she grabbed a bar of Nestle's chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate. She broke it up, she stirred it into the batter, and then put the cookies in the oven and hoped that the chocolate would melt into the cookie as it baked. Of course, it didn't do that at all. The result, though, was greater than what she had even hoped for. And now for me, this night, standing here with all of you, has been about 17 years in the making. And like the baker in the myth of the chocolate chip cookie, there was one very happy mistake in particular that got me started. And I'll explain. Rabbi Jordan Milstein alluded to some of this. But back in 2001, my wife Nina and I had moved back to my hometown of Worcester, Massachusetts. And I had just graduated from the New England Conservatory and in Boston, where I studied vocal performance. One fateful day that summer, I received a phone call from the Cantor at Temple Emmanuel in Worcester. And on the line, as you've heard, was Cantor Betsy Peters Epstein. And she was calling to tell me that my grandfather had been hounding her. He'd been hounding her and everyone else at the temple about me working at their synagogue as their cantor. You could see why this was very disturbing to Betsy, their cantor. But in my grandfather's mind, his grandson, who had just graduated from music school, would make the perfect cantor for his shul that he attended for daily minyan right down the street. And somehow he firmly believed that this synagogue was now looking for a new cantor. So here's my impression of my grandfather. By the way, English was his 6th language. And this is what he must have sounded like to them. My grandson Denny, he graduated from music school. He will be your cantor. Apparently, he called them every day with that message. And not being able to convince my grandfather, Cantor Betsy, finally decided to call me. You gotta tell your grandfather to stop calling us. We're not looking for a new cantor. And I said, I'm sorry, but why does he think that? And now here's the mistake. She said, he saw our ad for a tenor soloist in our High Holy Day choir, and now he thinks we need a new cantor. I can't seem to convince him that that's not what we need. Could you please tell him that we're not looking for a new cantor? But, do you want to join our High Holy Day choir? I was really interested. Having attended an Orthodox yeshiva through grade school, I didn't have any idea that such a thing existed. Now, Betsy quickly understood that I didn't know much about the Reform cantorate. So she also went on to explain how wonderful of a calling being a cantor is. And so with my new degree in vocal performance and music, and with my past experience at the yeshiva, I began preparing for my first High Holy Days in a Reform synagogue, and that's when I met Rabbi Jordan Milstein. It wasn't long after that I started singing at services on my own as a substitute, and ultimately, thanks to Rabbi Milstein and Cantor Betsy Peters Epstein for encouraging me and painting such a beautiful picture of the cantorate, and thanks to my grandfather for not knowing the difference between a tenor soloist and a cantor. I mean, that's, even people whose English language is their first, it's still a little tricky. But thanks to all of that, I decided to apply to cantorial school. But just backing up a little bit, from the moment that phone call ended, I began to wonder what it would be like to be a cantor. All the rich opportunities that Betsy described, from teaching young and old and everyone in between, to pastoral work, to being a part of people's lives from the first moments to the last moments to the moments in between, to singing in styles of music that spans thousands of years and an entire globe. I began to dream. I began to dream about what my cantorate would look like, where it would be, with whom I would work, the people I would teach, the people I would take care of, the people who would teach me, and the people who would take care of me. And as I look out at all of you tonight, as I look at my colleagues here on the bima, there's not a single doubt in my mind that that dream that began with my grandfather's mistake and then a phone call, that dream that began about 17 years ago, there's no doubt that it's been completely fulfilled. And I didn't get here on my own, and there are so many people that I want to thank and acknowledge for helping me on the way. And good news for you, I'll be brief. But first, I want to thank Claudia Morse and Mark Stern for chairing the installation committee and helping to make tonight so wonderful. And a huge thank you to Shani Silverberg and the Cantorial Search Committee for bringing me to Central Synagogue in the first place. I'm also so grateful to our president, Abby Pogerbin, for being the inspiring leader and person that she is in this community and beyond. I want to thank our executive director, Marcia Caban, for her warmth, her thoughtfulness, and strong leadership. I want to thank my friends who came to support me and who are on the bima tonight. Rabbi David Lyon, when I knew that I'd be coming to Central Synagogue, and when I began to think about this evening and my installation, I knew that you had to be here. So thank you for being here. And Rabbi Jordan Milstein, it's no wonder that I was so excited about the cantorate when you were my first rabbinic partner and colleague and spiritual leader. And it's tough. I do measure rabbis against Jordan. He's awesome. And thank you to Cantor Ozzy Schwartz for being here at the start of our service. Park Avenue also had an event tonight, and I'm so especially grateful that Ozzy was able to be a part of this evening. And a huge thank you to Cantor Dan Singer for being here tonight. You are the menchiest guy. You are such a good friend and started helping me with my transition to New York months before I came, and I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful that you're here tonight. I'm also incredibly grateful to the clergy here at Central for making me feel so welcome, so included, so immediately a part of the team. So I'll start with Rabbi Peter Rubenstein. Your legacy, your reputation as a kind and bold leader of this community, it's everywhere. It's evident. It's all around us. It's outside this place. It reverberates in the restaurants. In every place I go to, everybody knows Peter. And I was so personally touched by the welcome that you extended to me when I first arrived. And Cantor Dick Botten, I am so humbled and honored to follow in your footsteps here. And I look up to you as one of the greats. Thank you for being here tonight. I am just in awe of the people that I get to work with. I'm going to pick on Rabbi Ari Lorge because it's not fair to pack in so much intelligence and resourcefulness into one person. Is there a text that Rabbi Lorge cannot find, a sermon that he cannot deliver magnificently? Really, I am honored to call you a colleague. And Rabbi Stephanie Colin, you are a legend in the social justice work that you do, but it's because that work comes from this pure love that you have. And it's not just love in social justice, it's love in everything that you do and every word that you speak. So I'm privileged to call you a colleague. And then there's Rabbi Maurice Salth. It just keeps going. The kindest, most attentive, pastoral, rabbinic presence that I've ever seen, and who just embraces you with everything that he does. And I'm so honored to call you a colleague. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Becoming a cantor here at Central, I joined a team of musical clergy that is truly exceptional. And I am ridiculously blessed to work alongside you, Cantor Julia Cadrain. You've been so kind. You've been so thoughtful. You have done everything to make this transition for me in this role so smooth and so wonderful. And I thank you for being such a wonderful friend and colleague, and for being so great on this bima and off this bima. And then Rabbi Angela Buchdahl. What can one say? What can one say? To see you in action is a gift. I admired you from afar for your gifts, and to see you lead in person is to watch inspiration unfold around her. But to work and to pray and to do all the things that we do alongside you is something that I will never take for granted. It's truly incredible. Okay, we're almost done. So I also want to thank David Strickland and the musical team here at Central. Dave and I have been friends for a while before I came here to Central, and to be with Dave now in this capacity was something that I knew would be incredible, but to witness his thoughtfulness and his care and his sheer talent all wrapped into the person that he is has been such a gift. I want to thank my extended family who came from Massachusetts and New Jersey tonight. As the only musician and Jewish professional in the family, I've held my family as a captive audience through many strange events and concerts and classical, performances, and installation is high up there on that list. So thank you for being here. And I want to thank my 3 kids, Saya, Dory Sue, and Jake, who do a pretty good job of putting up with me. And thank you to my wife, Nina, who does an okay job of putting up with me. But seriously, I would not be here today for so many reasons if it weren't for Nina. Thank you. Lastly, I want to thank all of you, my congregation. The last 7 months here have been fast-paced and intense. Yes, New York City lives up to all of the hype, but so much more than that. These last several months have blown me away. They filled me with so much trust and admiration and respect and love. It hit me hard when I first came. I didn't know what to make of it at first. It seemed almost too good to be true. But then again, sometimes the best things happen to us by surprise. Sometimes the miracles in our lives are sparked by the mistakes that bring us closer together, kind of like chocolate and cookie dough. So thank you, Central Synagogue. Thank you for this evening. Thank you for the years that we'll share together. And thank you most of all for calling me your Cantor. Thank you.